Just gonna have to trust it. Gonna have to sort this out, get some sort of system or something. Some way to keep them on the mat. Oh, the back is still not so good. But did a nice long warm-up already, and I think I'll be able to get through some swings, so I'm gonna hop on here and see what's going on. Different time of day. Extra Innings is here. What's up, Extra Innings? You know what I'm gonna do too? It's just there we go. Tiniest bit. There we go. Oh, more than slightly afraid that I was gonna synchronicity. Squirrel Sniper's on the putting green. What's up, Squirrel Sniper? Sycamore says you're golfing left-handed now. Oh, you know why? Because I don't have my computer out here today. So in order to see the chat, I've got it. Wow, it does look funny in reverse, doesn't it? I'm hoping to be able to get to a putting green this weekend, potentially. Although I have an unfortunately busy weekend. It's not unfortunate that it's busy. It's good to have things to do. But when you want to work on your game, now that my back is starting to turn a corner after this move, you know, I want to get back into practicing, get into a rhythm, and it's like, bam, busy weekend. All right, not yet. Oh. Always a good idea to start with some short clubs. Just hitting some wedges here to get loose. I'm hoping physically in another couple days maybe, so like Sunday, Monday time frame potentially, start doing some speed training on the channel. 7 p.m. still 26C. Oh, wow. Hey Khalid, hey C-Rich. C-Rich said, what's good? The new setup is sick. Thanks very much, C-Rich. Hey, tapas for breakfast. You left me a really thoughtful comment on a video. So I'm glad that you popped in. We can chat about that too. Just for the rest of you guys. Tapas's question was about, like, hey, you know, I've been playing for a while. I'm kind of plateauing. You know, I want to practice. I want to recommit to getting better. And like, how do I actually do that, right? I'm getting frustrated, you know, that my ball striking is not improving. So I think this, the way I like to think about this, right, is developing a process. You got to start big and then make it as really specific as you can, right? So I'll give you an example. I was thinking about this last night after I read your comment. So let's say you told me, you know, hey, I can play golf once a week and I can practice at the driving range once a week for an hour. So you have 2 chances to practice, right? You know, let's say you could arrive 30 minutes before your round to do some putting work, and you have that hour on the driving range, right? So if your funnel's big, and let's start with some basic stuff, I think you'll have much more productive results if you can get to like a really, really narrow part of this funnel, right? So at the top of the funnel, you're like, okay, I have 90 minutes, let's call it, to practice twice a week. And if you just went to the range and you hit balls for an hour and you're like, okay, I did my 1 hour practice, and then you went and you show up, you do some chipping and putting before your round, you're like, okay, I did my 90 minutes, you know, that's like a 1 out of 10. The next option is, okay, I'm gonna, you know, really divvy up my practice time, my hour, into, you know, 30 minutes of ball striking, 30 minutes of execution, full speed sort of stuff, and I'm gonna use my 30 minutes before the round and, you know, again, split it in half, and say I'm gonna do, you know, half on long putts and half on short putts, right? And now you're starting to develop like a process. You could imagine writing this down and saying, okay, you know, twice a week I'm gonna practice golf, and, you know, I'm gonna do these two things, right? And that gets you maybe halfway down the funnel. To get all the way down where I would want you to be, if you're saying like, I really wanna make improvement in my game, I wanna start shooting lower scores, right? I think you need to make that time as specific as possible. So you're saying, I have an hour, I have a plan, right? I've written it down. I know that in maybe 10-minute increments during that 60 minutes, so I'm gonna do 6 different drills, each one of them for 10 minutes. And I'm just making this up, right? You could do 10 swings, you know, find some sort of framework that works for you in your brain. But what you're trying to do is let the process do the hard work. And then you just show up and say, okay, I know the drill that I'm gonna do, you know, for ball striking, right? I'm gonna preset my impact, and I'm gonna make, you know, 50% swings to really work on, you know, getting that shaft leaning forward so I can make good, proper ground contact, right? So that's just one example, but you'd have a plan written down to say, these are the drills I'm gonna do, and here's how I did at them, right? You can grade yourself, you know, A, B, C, scale 1 to 10, 1 through 5, right? And some days you'll be like, man, this drill, I was not focused, you know, I got a 3, you know. Second drill, like, hey, I was feeling some improvement with this move. I was really dialed in. I was striking, you know, the ball nicely, performing the drill at a high level. That might be a 5, right? So you're trying to make these little increments, you know, to build a process, right? And then you just let that happen over a long enough period of time. And then after a month, you're like, well, I spent 40 minutes cumulatively doing that one drill. Like, would you have done that otherwise without that process? Probably not, right? Because I do it too. I get in the habit of like, oh, I'm just raking balls, I'm hitting them, you know, maybe I'm kind of subconsciously working on something or trying to, you know, hit a certain shape, but the thing you want to avoid is just the exercise part, right? Like if you're just raking balls and hitting them, you're not working on your technique, you're just doing everything at full speed. It's really gonna take a long time to get better. All right, let me catch up right here. Eva said hi, Cece said hi. Hey guys. C Rich is on the course right now. Hey DJ, so what's up? Welcome to the Lefty Gang. No, just trying out a different camera setup out here. So here's a thought. You practice ball swing for 15 minutes, but your ball swing doesn't feel great after 15 minutes. Do you keep with that or just call it and move on? Yeah, so I think if you've implemented this process idea that I'm describing, right, which is, hey, I do this drill for, you know, 10 minutes, and I make as much progress as I can, and then after 10 minutes, you go on to the next thing, right? You're not adjusting the process because of results on that day, right? Remember, your body's gonna feel different day to day, your swing's gonna, you know, everything's gonna move a little bit differently. What we're trying to do is very incrementally increase your skill level at these various skills, right? There's, you know, speed is a skill in golf. How much energy can I transfer into the golf ball, right? Just like we just saw Brian Campbell win on the PGA Tour. His average this year is 161 ball speed. That's like 10, you know, almost 15 miles an hour below tour average, right? So he has to outperform in other skills, putting, you know, hitting the center of the face, controlling his trajectory. Like there are all these different micro skills. So I would say no. I would say do, you know, once you have the drill and call it drill number 1, you would do it for that amount of time. Move on to the next one. Don't lie. Welcome to the left side, brother. Shout out DJ. Pigeon, are you playing lefty? No, it's going to be confusing because I turned the camera around. Tapa said, Tapa said, love the content, keep it up. What I've been working on, maybe this will resonate with some of you guys, is I had noticed I was getting a lot, really kind of stacked on my left side, and my spine, my upper body was kind of going into extension this way towards the target, like this. So trying to have that feel more neutral in order to, get a better load and weight shift into my trail side. I think I am probably going to need to get, maybe it's just a take 2 on the platform idea. Although somebody also had a great idea the other day about burying one of those push brooms in your yard, right? So you just dig it out a hole, put the push broom in, and then that would sand with the bristles up as like a hitting area. Thought that was an interesting idea. I think it might also solve a lot of the issue I'm trying to solve with these mats, right, is the impact, repeated impact into the ground. This just hitting off of a hard surface is going to be deliver much more force into your body than hitting off of grass would, right? And tapas, it's great, it's a good reminder for me, right? Because I sometimes, like I said, get in that same habit of, like, especially out here, you're not going to run out of balls. I could stand here and hit balls as long as I was physically able to. So I have to remind myself that when I am, trying to practice, that it's a good idea to do those drills as well. Don't forget to stay hydrated, guys. Pigeon, no, just the camera. Spencer's, good question. Spencer asked, favorite tattoo go? If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be the one that I got on my honeymoon. My wife and I got tattoos that go together. The real answer is that most of them aren't particularly, like, meaningful, or some of them are, like, tied to groups of friends, or I got on cool trips, wanted to memorialize. But for the most part, it's just kind of random cool stuff that I've collected over the years. And one of my favorite things to do is just, find an artist that I like. And I found a couple locally that I've worked with a lot. And I'll just say, hey, I have an arm, tattoo my arm. Draw some stuff, like, yeah, I'll sign off on it, make sure that it's cool. But just giving, like, 98% of the trust to that person to say, like, you're a professional, you draw, you get a really good result a lot of times, because those people are professional artists. They know how to. You got me a shift camera. It looks like a left-handed golfer. I know. Is it really confusing for people? Because I can switch it back. We can just go like this. Ready? And now I'll be right-handed again. This is kind of falling over. But I'm going to have to walk around to look at the chat. It's still a work in progress. But a lot to be grateful for. It's sunny out, but not too sunny. It's middle of the afternoon and I'm not sitting at a desk. I'm physically able to get some slow swings in here. I wouldn't say it feels great. I wouldn't want to go like, you know, have to play a tournament and post a score tomorrow with my body in this condition, but also pretty cool, guys. I think we're going to end up hopefully in the affiliate program for Net Return. They were interested in what we were doing, it sounded like, so that could be coming soon. If you guys have ever been interested in learning more about the setup we have here. That's the one that I don't love. That comes out of, like, kind of low on the toe a little bit, guys. I will say, though, because we had pretty severe storms roll through the last couple days, the humidity is still up there. Like, I'm not dreading it. I'm excited about doing speed training out here on the live stream with you guys, but it's going to be a workout. I mean, it's going to be a lot of swings. It's going to be trying to get the speed up really high. Nah, embrace the 2014 Phil Mickelson look. Maybe more Masters winning Bubba lefty. I love it. Righty angle is confusing. Other angle was better. All right, so mixed opinions in the chat. Need a consensus because it's got to be one or the other. And the real answer is I think ultimately it will just end up being like this, and then I'll have a table out here with a computer. Largely just still working through the internet situation and speaking of storms, guys, I will tell you that this Net Return held up great out here. It's pretty covered. There's a big tree over my head here, but still, you know, the winds were high. See, I want to see how it looks on the face-on view. Oops, should probably try not to smash a hole in the fence. That would be expensive. Whatever angle gets more pups. That's a good point, DJ. I know there's been a lack of pups on the stream so far today. I think they'll probably come out at some point while we're out here hitting. Because, as we know, they are the real superstars. I mean, like we were talking about the other day, there's a lot of great dogs. I've met a ton of great dogs. I could name a dozen off the top of my head, great dogs that I know. I don't know if I could name a dozen great people that I know. Like, good, sure. But great? You gotta be, I mean, great is, that's a lot for a human. Really good to do these slow speed swings. Guys, I'm probably at about 60%. Right? When you're really trying to dial in on a feel, which for me is more load here. Oh, speak of the devil. Pops. Oh, What are you doing? Oh. What? There's all kinds of crazy stuff over here. Don't you dare. No, no. Who's that? Who's that? Yeah. Superstar. Who's a superstar? Yeah. Well, if that's not a ringing endorsement, I don't know what is. Can stand up to, you know, high-speed golf shots and... Yeah? You doing okay? Loved by humans and canines alike. The net return, built to last. I'm impressed there isn't holes in that fence. Yeah, it's a quality product, guys, I'm telling you. I mean, that bar is basically right up against that back fence. These balls are not going to get anywhere close to even hitting it. I can really feel the difference in compression in the strike, even at this slower speed. When I really do it properly and I get that load, you know, further here, and then there's just more, there's more energy. Trying to really feel like that recenter, that, you know, that push to the left happens even before the top of the backswing. That's when I'm feeling it, you know, feel the best, like the most natural athletic type of movement. DJ says, let's go, Super Snoots. Hell yeah. RC says, any tips on follow through? To be honest with you, you know, you can, a lot of good players try to feel their follow through as it relates to controlling the trajectory of the flight, right? So if you were trying to hit a low one, your follow through would be, you know, kind of low hands finishing short and down here. Whereas if you really had to hit a high one, it might be more high and finishing up like that, right? So that's how I would think about follow through. I don't think, because outside of that, right, and that's, again, that movement is still, you know, a way to influence what's happening before the strike, right? Because once we make impact, that ball's gone. So nothing that happens in the follow through, you know, other than the extent to which it is impacting things into the ball. So my point is, in short, it can be a really good way to try to feel different trajectories, but don't worry about it so much as, you know, if you're making good contact and hitting quality golf shots, but your follow through's kind of funky looking, I wouldn't worry about it too much, to be honest with you. Trying to simulate a little weight shift type drill, you know, like Kyle Berkshire does. Nice bag. Thanks, Angus. Are your tattoos fake? No. Yes, he carefully applies them to the exact same spot every live stream. It's really impressive. Well, that's a really funny comment, Tapas. Yeah. Imagine how long it would take. I know how many, like hundreds of hours I've sat being tattooed, but to do it on a daily basis, to like carefully, even if it was like a sleeve at a time to get drawn on, man. And if any of you guys have tattoos, oftentimes the worse, it's worse the awkward positions that you have to lie in for extended periods, more so than the actual, pain of having your skin tattooed. I'm not going to hit them all good. That one feels really good when I do it right and then everything's just kind of already cleared out. It feels like the strike is moving a little bit closer to the center. I've been fighting this toe strike for what feels like forever. That one felt steep, if anything. All the suspense. It's not a full speed, but that's more what I'm really trying to feel. Arthur says the next Tiger Woods, imagine. I do feel like we might have known by now. I think people knew Tiger was a prodigy by the time he was like, 7 or 8 years old. Just gotta hit them all like that, guys. Just dead nuts out of center. Oh. Now we just gotta, be able to do that 97% of the time on the golf course. So again, a nice feel or intention that I've, when the strikes do get a little bit too far out on the toe, trying to have my intention be, all right, we're gonna line it up in the center, like we normally would, but then we're gonna try really hard to hit it out of the heel. And we're just trying to incrementally move that strike pattern as closer to the center of the face. Just like that. Just like that. Ooh, it's warm. If you guys have questions, things you're working on in your own game, drills you want me to do, or you're like, hey, I've got this nasty hook, how do I fix that? We do a lot of that on the channel. It definitely feels different when I do it right. It just feels faster. I feel like there's more this way. I can really push off the right side and just get going left, because before, when I was really stacked here, there's like nowhere to go, right? So you end up just kind of going this way towards the ball. Something like that. That felt great. That felt smushy. Wow, so that's what the center of the face feels like, guys. It's been a while. I feel like I've just been hitting, a lot of toe strikes. One of my favorite drills is presetting impact. Really go back to that one. Well, that's the best my back has felt trying to make a swing in, probably a couple weeks. So that's exciting. Dumpster says, did you ever take a shart while rolling off the cart? No, I've never had that experience specifically. I could imagine it being equal parts unpleasant and hilarious, especially if you were like, with a group of buddies. You would definitely remember the time that your buddy sharted while falling off of a golf cart. But I can't say that I especially have had that experience. Ooh, that was heavy. That's what's great about hitting to the net, guys, because I can really focus on these smaller concepts, right? I don't have to worry about, even when you're on a driving range, you're subconsciously focused on the target, right? So I can really focus on, like, did I get my weight back into here and then forward and around the corner? I might have been wrong about not being ready for speed training yet. If I was smart, I would definitely give it a couple more days. Maybe it's just the warm temperatures, but I am feeling pretty loose. No, it's a bad idea. What's not a bad idea, staying hydrated when it's hot out. Alpine says, can you show me a good backswing for a 6-iron? And Sycamore says, I'm getting tired just watching. 17 likes already on the stream, guys. Shout out to you guys. All right, so let me grab a 6-iron here for Alpine. And to keep it simple, I would try to think about the backswing in two parts, right? Two distinct halves. The midpoint is going to be about here, right? The club's parallel to the ground. And what's our objective with the backswing? The objective is to get some energy into the club, right? It starts off stationary or close to stationary, right? And we have to get it going, get energy into it so we can get that energy back into the golf ball to hit it far and straight, right? So step one is creating some width, right? We don't want this club getting close to us. We don't want it near us, right? We want to keep it far away from our body. Imagine if you had a yo-yo, right? You wouldn't have to move your finger very quickly to get that yo-yo on the string going pretty fast. Same idea here. We want that club head going fast, so we keep it out there with some width, right? So that's step one. If you need a good checkpoint, right, it's when you're, if you had a down-the-line camera view, like I have here, at that halfway back mark, right, we want the club head some amount outside of our hands this way, right, or in line. You don't want to see it in like here. This is too inside, right? We need that width, this space in here to make our downswing. So step one, boom. Step two, the arms are going to continue lifting, and the shoulders turn while you finish turning the hips, and then you just unwind in the opposite order, right? So the club head is the last thing that will stop moving. Just like our hips are going to be the first thing, our lower body goes first, and then the arms and the club. So 2 distinct parts, kind of break it into those simple sections. $100 to shave your head. Unfortunately, I'm not at an age or a moment in time where your offer for me to accept. Said another way, if someone said, would you pay $100 to not shave your head? I'd say, yeah, I probably would. But I appreciate the engagement on the stream. I mean, it's a question that, you know, you could definitely ask to a variety of people, and eventually you might get a yes. Just feels faster, I can tell. Like, I don't have to work nearly as hard. I'm just letting, you know, the weight shift, the loading and then the unloading. I'm excited to be able, someday soon, hopefully, we'll have a launch monitor out here. Trying to get maybe one of those Rapsodo MLM2s. I've heard those are pretty good. Because I would want something that I could use out here, mostly, you know, to hit into the net and get some, you know, ball speed, club head speed data. But also would want to bring it to the range. So something that is portable or multi-location use. I've also heard really good things about the Garmin one, but I don't know if that one is portable to the same extent. It also feels there's so much less pressure on my back, right? Because I'm not, it's just my hips are just kind of floating underneath me instead of going this way, where I'm then, like, I'm increasing that angle in my spine, from my spine to my pelvis. It just feels better, too. Like I said, you're not going to hit them all good. Beauty of the net. Beauty of golf. You never know what's going to happen one swing to the next. You hit the best shot of your life or the worst. Wow, Gavin really is interested in getting us to shave our head. I wonder what I could get in the interim. Maybe like some garden stakes or something. I wonder if it's because this is on a slope. These are exciting challenges that I get to try and conquer now as a homeowner. Which is pretty exciting. It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. But I am enjoying it thoroughly. think that was fractionally out of the toe, if you made me guess. All right, let's do 20 balls. 20 balls with the 7-iron. Focused on center face contact. Impact drill. And then go. Still going to try to focus on, can I get the strike closer to the heel side of the blade? That was better. I've already torn up the other side of the mat. A lot of good swing. Yes, there we go. There we go. Whoa. I think I just figured it out. It's the same amount, it's the dissociation has to happen all the way through the end too. So to me, it almost feels like my upper body is going towards, not stay in place. I want to see how that looks on camera, because it's just these little pieces we're trying to find. Keith says it'd be cool to have simultaneous front on view, maybe a split screen. Don't know if that's possible with live. That is a great idea. Oh yeah, good point, Keith. Yeah, everyone who's listening, if you are hitting into a net like this, make sure that you do have some, kind of target or a spot you want to see the ball, landing in, right? I'm usually aiming kind of at that post in the background. Jason said hi. Hey, Jason. And Izhar said hi, too. Hey, Izhar. Welcome to the stream, guys. Something like this, Keith, where I'm, mostly worried about the body work component. We still want to strike the ball in the center of the face, obviously, but it can be helpful to dissociate those two things when you're trying to work on technique. Wow. Feels very different. It feels like I'm hanging out over the ball longer with my torso. But yet I'm still managing to get around. So that's pretty cool. I'm quite sure I couldn't do it at full speed yet, but Gotta do that with a tiny bit better balance. Yeah, it's humid. See, we've already gone through one glove. How long has it been? Like 45 minutes maybe of hitting? Hey, Paul Cummins is in here. What's up, Paul? Doing great, my guy. Thanks for checking out the stream, Paul. We're just getting back into hitting some shots. Been nursing a really bad back for a few days and weeks now. But my days of moving and lifting heavy furniture are surely behind me, but it doesn't stop me occasionally from trying. But this is, I mean, golf is much better. I struggle with the vertical, like, you know, like bending over lifting things, but rotation is not nearly as difficult. What I've been working on really is trying to get a deeper turn, more load here to be able to push and get going left. And trying to move our strike pattern back towards the center. Who's counting? Has it been 20 yet? I don't think it's been about 20, maybe 15. But I do really like this drill, so. Boom. That was hit really hard. Sometimes you can just tell. Nope, got to do it more. Really got to exaggerate that. Check this out, guys. I found this out on the golf course a while back. Pretty cool. Old Nike golf ball. You don't see these anymore. One platinum. Some of you might remember these. They were hard, but these balls went forever if you guys have ever played these way back in the day. Used to love me some Nike golf balls. Paul says, good, good. Juan says, reminds me of Wolf. Forgot his first name. What are your thoughts on 7-wood versus 3-iron? I'm a 7-wood guy. It's the rotational that's prone to injuries. If I rotate, I'm really sore afterwards. I prefer lateral with natural rotation. I don't turn deliberately. And Sozens is in here. Hey, Sozens. It's a good point, Paul. I mostly have been trying to get more rotation in because, you know, the lateral was causing me issues in my left knee, right? It's just a lot of force to put in, you know, without some rotation to get the pressure out of there first. Which it definitely seems to have done. You know, I did a bunch of rehab and, you know, so that helped too. But I think I'm landing somewhere in the middle, right? I used to have a really vertical plane, you know, and a lot of shaft lane and extension this way to keep it doing that, and I just couldn't, I don't think my body could tolerate it. I'm team 7-wood. I have, my longest iron now is a 6-iron, guys. 7-wood, and I've got a 5 hybrid kicking around in here. And I'll tell you, once your pride gets over the fact that you have all these head covers, you know, like, your buddies are gonna give you a hard time, especially if you're a low index, when you show up with a bunch of head covers in your bag like this. But then, you know, when you watch them, like, thin 5-irons to go 190 yards, and I pull this thing out, and I can hit it, you know, 210, and it lands like a butterfly with sore feet on a firm green, right? Because you can really launch them up in the air. Just much, much easier to hit consistently, at least for me. So I've got the 7-wood. This goes probably 230. This goes 210 or so. 205, 210, and that's like a perfect gap at that part of the bag. Because, you know, I have a fair amount of speed. Not as much as I used to, but, you know, you'd notice like a 3-iron, 4-iron, 5-iron, you're not getting a really good consistent gap out of those clubs. And the question really boils down to, do you want to make golf easier or do you want to make it harder? So I play this a little bit more, kind of like a hybrid, like slightly further back in my stance than I might like a 3-wood, right? But it's just nice to hit. I mean, launches high. It's really nice to hit into greens because it lands soft. It might just be, you know, the one that I have with this shaft, but I feel like it wants to go straight. I have a hard time hitting it super far offline. Those are my thoughts on 7-wood versus 3-iron. Now, like, if you're playing in the Scottish Open like the guys this week, you probably want some longer irons. I wouldn't want to be trying to hit this club 230 yards into the wind, right? Because it's going to just, the whole point is that it's going to launch high with spin. That's not what you want into the wind, so you know, put some longer irons in the bag. Which is why, if you guys saw the stream the other night, I did a little what's in the bag tour, and you probably noticed there's more than 14 clubs that we talked about, because different courses will potentially require different bag setups, different conditions, right? If you know there's gonna be a lot of wind or rain, you might put up a different bag, set it up differently. Tatted up golf homie, let's see that swing. Wouldn't be able to play the setup, would be shanking against the post on the right. Finally, the algorithm recommends something good. Shout out to I Hate Acid Reflux. I also hate acid reflux. When I go to golf, I take 4 clubs, 5-wood pitching wedge, sandwich, and a putter. I love that. You can play a full round with just a driver and 7-iron on most courses. I agree. This also, guys, I'm glad this discussion's come up in the chat, because it can be great practice, right? Just grab a couple clubs, go out and try to score. You know, it's a good way to, it's good for skill development. You know, if I only have a 7-iron and I have to hit it 100 yards, well, I can't make a full swing. You know, how do I adjust for that? How do I, you know, flight the ball? Do I open up the face and add spin and you know, hit a cut shot to get it to land softer? Right? Conversely, like, if you have 200 yards, like, do I, you know, you can shut the face and try to hit a big rope draw to get it to go a bit further, right? So these are really good exercises you can do. That was hit hard. It almost like caught me off guard for a second. It's like, wow, that's what that feels like. Whoa. What a nice day to be out hitting balls. I do have a little bit more work I'm gonna have to do. Keep paying the bills. Speaking of which, guys, shout out to you guys. Monetized the channel recently. Super, super exciting update in this journey that we've started doing. And had some awesome support already on that front, live stream. So I'm mostly just very grateful for all the love and support. Got a nice sound to it. Yeah, I agree with that. It's has a nice. One of the things I find TaylorMade does so consistently is sound and feel off the face, right? They just feel solid. You know, like that feeling if you've ever hit a baseball with a wooden bat and hit it right out of the sweet spot, and it has just that nice, satisfying thud. I find some of the other clubs that I've tested historically, they're a little too tingy, like they sound metallic. The breeze knocked over some wood back there, and the dogs did not like it. They simply did not. Say, why do you club twirl when you're hitting into the net? Well, practice like you... Plus, it looks silly. And that's fine. I do owe you guys a tutorial video. I've been talking about making one of those. Paul says, do you think you'll be recording your rounds of golf, John? It would be good to watch. Yeah, I have. We've got some, a couple, you know, rounds, like longer videos on the channel. But the honest answer, Paul, is that I've had, well, I've played, you know, a fair amount of full rounds, like in the last month, but none that I really could record. And then I was moving, so the answer is actually, yeah, you're right, it has been a while since I've recorded a full round. I don't like that swing. It's the stuck one. And the golf that I have played was not particular. I was talking about the other day how I started the year off like a +1 handicap, and I'm up to almost a 3. So, but again, new swing, you know, dealt with a lot of injuries last year. So it's going to be a process, right? It's never a straight line, right? You know, you're like, hey, I'm gonna practice more. I'm gonna immediately just get better in a straight line. And the good news is that I can tell it's mostly just about scoring. Like the ball striking, I mean, I've been hitting 12, 13, 14 greens sometimes and still shooting in the high 70s. So it's mostly just putting it around the green. That was fully thinned. But that means we're getting the low point forward. Doo-doo-doo. That was hit pretty good. So still just kind of working through the bag here. Although, like I was saying earlier, you got to be afraid of just starting to rake and hit. So maybe I'll grab a shorter club here for a while and do some chippier ones. Goal here being really consistent center of the face contact. Ah. Some kind of big ol' bug. I don't know if it's I think it's a bumblebee. And just keeps flying into my fence. Like, what are you doing, my guy? Are you okay? Like, it's a big white fence. You can't miss it. I don't know, maybe they don't see too well? Who knows? Maybe we have a bumblebee expert in the chat. Let's find out. Try the caddy's drag, John. See if you can do it. Cheers. I will try that. T-Bone said hi. What up, T-Bone? It's not my favorite cut of steak, but if someone, you know, hands you a big, nice T-bone steak, you're not going to say no to that. All right. I'm going to work on these short irons. I grabbed the pitching wedge. I'm going to do the 50-yard drill. Try and make a full swing. But imagine that the ball would only go, you know, maybe 50, 60 yards. Shout out to Paul, giving us the idea, you know, some really good drills. Paul's a former golf pro, it sounds like. It's really interesting, you know, once you give yourself an intention, so like I was just saying, guys, for me, trying to strike the heel, you know, as the strike for me is missing out on the toe, so I'm trying to pull it back to the center by, you know, my intention being try to strike the heel. And I'm just paying attention to what my body wants to do when I give it that goal. right? And it's more side bend, right? More chest down, which makes sense. If I'm coming out of it, I'm standing up the club, it's getting more upright. I'm going to be fighting that toe strike. So sometimes it's just going slow, trying to feel what's happening, in your body when you give it a specific intention, right? Because I know that for a while, the swing I was making when I was trying to strike the center, well, I was ending up striking the toe. So we just fight fire with fire. If I was going to borrow John Sherman's phrase. They have a sweet podcast, guys. I keep saying that. The podcast is called The Sweet Spot. I think that's 2 streams in a row. I was like, it's a sweet podcast. It is a sweet podcast. But it's also called The Sweet Spot. Adam Young and John Sherman make that show. Really cool for like the golf nerds if you really are into, improvement, getting better. Paul says you have a good practice setup. Could hit balls for hours there. Yeah, it is really nice. I've got that. I'm really grateful to have this set up here. Makes me want to golf, back to work. Oh, thanks for checking out the stream, my dude. If you want to hit that subscribe button, it does help us out quite a bit. You guys can come back for the next one. T-Bone said hi again. Hey, T-Bone. Hear that 100%. My natural swing is from the outside. Takes a mental effort to force it. Otherwise, I still have that swing speed. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's what's so maddening about golf, right? You feel like you're trying to make the same swing over and over again, and we're talking about fractions of inches and fractions of degrees between success and failure. Not to mention, you could do everything, right? You could hit the ball perfectly right at your target, with a perfectly square face and a perfect strike, and gust of wind comes, right? I think I heard that golf, compared to any other sport, the ball is in the air the longest, and it travels the furthest. So thus we have, incrementally, or relatively speaking to other sports, much less control over the outcome, right? So it's important to bear that in mind when you're like, man, I feel like I hit a good shot, I did everything right, and, the ball didn't end up where I wanted it to. That's part of strategy. It's part of the mental game. It's something I really struggle with. You just have to learn to accept where the ball ends up. You could do everything right and it could end up in a terrible spot. Just like you could, make a really bad swing and it could end up okay. Right? So, managing your expectations, that's part of what makes this so fun. See, that's the toe one again, when I don't pay attention to it. So now we got to go back. Yep, and move it closer to the heel, which ends up right in center. One of the reasons I've been considering going back to my TaylorMade blades, it's kind of for that reason. I feel like when, because I got these CBs to forgiveness, you can kind of get a little late, be like, oh, well, they're going to help me out, so I don't have to pay attention as much, and then, you end up missing the center of the face more than you should. That was not hit well. Also trying to get used to having these plugs in the clubs again. These are for the shot scope system I was talking about the other night, guys. So we're going to start getting some pretty cool data, strokes gained type stuff. So that'll be pretty cool. Yeah, I'll tell you what, guys, that humidity is no joke. It starts kicking up out here. T-Bone says, how long have you been golfing? Like in my life? I started playing seriously when I was in high school, so maybe 15 years. But I was fortunate that I had exposure to other sports, like hockey and baseball, a little bit of lacrosse randomly here and there. So when I did start playing seriously, if you take your eye off the ball even for a split second, you won't see the club face hit the middle of the ball. It's all details. I agree with that. So are you suggesting, Paul, that maybe I'm taking my eye off the ball? That could be true. That was hit out of the toe slightly. I definitely kept my eye on it. It's definitely possible. I have noticed, sometimes I feel like my head is coming up and looking for the ball. I gotta find a way to keep this from moving around so much. I have that platform that I built, but I'm gonna have to try a different approach with that guy to make it work. That was more out of the heel. That was arguably even a heel miss. The birds sound happy. Maybe they're laughing at me after I missed that last swing. It's like you're trying to do Rory's swing. He picks it up on the backswing, then drops right down and hits the ball up. That's a lot of movements to do. Yeah, I do. I just think, for me, the extension in the backswing, like I wasn't getting any weight shift back to here. But I hear what you're saying. Toe ball. That was crushed. All right, I'm gonna hit some draws and some fades. Then I'll maybe get some drivers out. So some fade swings, some draw swings. LeBron says, just finished 18, how's it going? Hey LeBron. Doing great, man. I'm enjoying a nice, beautiful day here in the Northeast. Hanging out with the chat. So the draw swing for me is more kind of just in the sequence and the timing. I don't feel like I do. Maybe I feel like, you know, I try to close the face with my hands a tiny bit sooner, but for the most part, it's just set up and follow through. The good news is that from a shock absorber perspective, this seems to be working nicely with a couple, you know, different mats under here as in addition to the hitting mat. think it's starting to work. Just the combo of, again, you know, giving myself some different orientations, just trying to feel fades and draws, and then going back to hitting straight ones and trying to be really conscious about where that strike is on the face. Whew. Carson says, any tips on how to hit a draw? Carson and Sly want to know about drivers, and Zork says, how hot is it for you? I think it's, well, let's find. So it could be better, could be worse. Okay, so if you want to hit a draw, what needs to happen? I don't have all my fun tools out for today, but let's use this. This is going to be our target line here, guys. Right? And we can demonstrate with the driver, but really be similar for all the clubs. Hang on to this head cover because we're going to use it. Right? So if you're hitting a slice, the path of your club is likely to the left. Right? And the face is open. Right? So when you come across it and you make contact with the open face, it's like hitting a lob shot in tennis, right? If you were going to try to take a bunch of the speed off and add a bunch of spin, right, with a racket, you would kind of cut down and across it. Same thing's happening when you're producing a slice, right? It's just a flat face and a ball. So to get that straightened out, what we need is the face more closed, right, more pointed to the left. And that path, instead of being across it this way, we need it to be more neutral or even slightly out to the right through impact, right? Because we'd much rather hit like a powerful forehand, right? A ball that draws and, you know, is going to carry more speed. So to do that, right, here's a great drill. Grab your head cover from your driver, drop it down, and you're going to put this just behind and to the right of where you have your ball teed up or set down. I don't know if we can get a tee into this map, but we can try. We'll give it a try. But regardless, what this is going to force you to do, right, it's going to block your path to the ball if you do make that steep outside to in swing. Yeah, I don't think this is going to, oh, maybe. There we go, look at us. Right, so if I make that steep swing and I get in here, my path to the ball is going to be blocked. Right, I'm going to hit that head cover. So what this is going to teach you to do is to get that path more neutral, more from the inside. And if you can keep the face square, you should see that ball fly really straight or even draw a little bit. Right? So as long as you don't knock the ball off the tee before you go to hit it, you can do this drill. Right? And what I'm really, besides trying to get the ball to stay on the tee, I just want to hit one, please. Please stay. Right? I want to avoid that head cover. Approach it from the inside. And you should see that ball, you know, start to straighten out and maybe even draw a bit. How do you hit a parlay? Good question, Sir Sincere. If I ever do it, I will let you know. Just kidding. I've hit a couple fun parlays in my day. It's really just luck, I think. If there was a magic formula, you know, a way to beat the odds, and they wouldn't be the odds, right? Hang on to that for later if we need it. I think it's working, guys. I think it's working. I am excited to go back and watch these swings later. See if they look like what we're looking for. Try some big cuts. Nice. I'll come in here and do the same thing. The other side, try to hit some draws. Keep that ball back in the stance. Sycamore says, what's a parlay? Parlay is a gambling thing when you try to, like, say, you don't just want to bet on one game, you want to bet on 5. And if you get all of them correct, you get a much bigger payout, right? Because you're betting on 5 things to go the way you told them, right? So you get combined odds or multiplied odds. It can be a good way to Sly says, I'm going to give it a try. Plan on going after work. I've been practicing the garage all week. Good for you, Sly. Way to go, practicing, getting some time in on your game. Arnell says, get a free Slurpee today, 7-Eleven. It is 7-Eleven, isn't it? Big draw. That was munchy. That was munchy. Go back to the fade. I feel like the back is starting to get a little tired, so I don't know how many more full swings we're going to have in us, but for a first day, really getting back, doing some swings, getting back in the rhythm on the live stream. Feels good. It feels good to be outside. Oh! And then you hit one like that when you're just not paying attention to anything. Let's go back and hit the draw swing. Yep. Got that one down. Fade swing feels like a tiny bit more work at the moment. Caliente. Paul says, your swing is very good. Just keep going, you'll get there. Thanks very much, Paul. Want to see you get better. Dangus says, recommend a 5-wood or a 7-wood. Have trouble hitting fairway woods. Well, I have both in my bag, a 5-wood and a 7-wood. So just, remember, they are different lengths and lofts for a reason. They're intended to do different things. So I would say, identify, where your more pressing need is based on the yardages that you're hitting those clubs, right? So say you test them on a simulator and it's the 7-wood's going 215 yards and the 5 was going 230. You're like, well, where in my bag do I need one of those holes filled the most? And make your decision that way. Fairway woods can be tricky. I think it's important to, remember just the how important a good strike is. It's a longer club, so we want to swing it hard, send it a long way, but center contact is just so important. It just feels way better when I get. Just the extension this way, and the only thing to do is to go this way, right? So now if I stay here, then I can just kind of, as I'm going, I can also rotate. I like doing these drills, these little chippy half swings. Again, really just focused on hitting the center of the face. JK wants to know what set of clubs I use. These are the Tacoma 301 CBs. These are super cool. Joshua, oh, last week I was in the hospital. Sorry to hear that. I hope you're feeling better. Sorry to hear that, Joshua. Paul says, hope your back heals, bro. Gotta go. Catch you next time. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you checking out the stream. Shout out to Paul, one of our longtime supporters here on the channel. Oh, who's that? My wife and the dogs are in the window, which is awesome. That's awesome. We did it. Got one out of the heel. That was just fully struck out of the heel. Amazing. That's not a good swing. That's the one that gets in here and then goes, ugh, steep. That's better. More connected. Ugh. I don't know what the solution is going to be to keep this from twisting around so much, but we're going to have to work on something. Alright guys, I think we'll do some little pitching and chipping. I was dehydrated, had 7 fluids. Oh man. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, Joshua. Fasty, what's your handicap? Right now it's in the 2-something range. It started at like +1 this year and then we're just going the wrong way. But that's okay. Gonna get it back. Maybe make a box with some 2x4s, help keep it in place. So I have that exact thing. Joshua says my handicap is 24. Swing's looking good. I don't think I can rewind on here. I would need another screen. Oh, there's more dogs again. Incredible. Or are they cows? Because I see them eating grass. Oh, pretty sad. Oh, you got all over there. I know. So yeah, I really got to figure out. I think I just need more volume of material to fill up the 2x4s because I think it's too deep. Hey, don't eat the grass, please. We don't eat grass. I love dogs, man. They are just so much better than people most of the time. There's a lot of okay people. There's a lot of great dogs. Put this one away. Ah. Ah. Do I need to be swinging this hard at a wedge? No. But it's fun to feel the width and just be able to feel some of that speed in the swing again, now that I'm not like so stacked and extended in the backswing. Just little things we're trying to dial in here and there. Swing is looking good. Thanks, Fasty. Sycamore says try using bags of mulch. That's not a bad idea. Fasty says, what do you do for work? I work in consulting. Peace Bro, lunch about over. Thanks for the tips. You're welcome, Sly. Joshua says I was in the hospital for 4 days. Oh my goodness. That doesn't sound fun. Well, I'm glad that you are recovering. That sounds scary. Got to take care of yourself. That's why I always say hydration is so important. I'm gonna practice what I preach. Oh, look at these good dogs. Hello? What are you doing up there, silly? Oh, she's so funny. My wife's doing a work call and the dogs know. Now we got some speed back. Only took me 90 minutes to get warmed up. Better late than never. Never great when you look down and the ball has started rolling halfway through the backswing. It's going to make it harder when the ball's not stationary. I've had that happen to me on the golf course before. I remember I was playing, I had this crazy hanging lie. The ball was kind of like sat up in the rough and I was serial choked down, and I take the club back and I had to hit the ball. I hit a decent shot actually, considering the fact the ball had started kind of tumbling out of the tuft it was on. Oh. Look at you guys being so good. What do we got? What's this? What do we do? You know. Oh, good boy. Where's your sister? What's this? Come here. She says, I only want to get it from my mom. I know, you are so good. They're like, we know who's got more snacks. This guy's only got a couple. There's one more. Lily, treat. Come here. Good job. Huh? Good girl. Yeah, oh, you guys happy? Oh. What a nice day. I know, there's no more. Oh. Joshua, Carlo said hi. Hey, Carlo. Joshua said I went to the hospital Wednesday at 6, didn't get back till 8 on Saturday. Oh, man. Well, I'm really glad that you are doing better, man. Anthony wants to know what net this is. This is the Net Return Pro Series. I highly recommend it. It's definitely a premium price. I think it's $6.95, but it's definitely built to last. I've already moved it a couple times. and it's held up really well. It's very sturdy. As you can see, it's not very deep, and I've got it right up against that fence there, and never once has it seemed like it was gonna hit the fence or have any sort of issues. Hoping I'll have a discount code for you guys pretty soon for the net return, which would be cool to be able to share with you guys if you are interested in building a setup like this for yourself. It's very... Looks like they like the new backyard. They definitely do. Sycamore, you're absolutely right. Or just thin it. Or just thin it. That was hit hard. Oh, working on 6 irons here, guys. Toad again. Yo, listen up. Swing's feeling pretty good. You can just keep that strike pattern away from that toe side. Gonna be transport, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. When they're hit good, they're hit really good.